Dr. Kissinger, Ambassador Cui, my good friend Mike Bloomberg, and Steve Schwartzman. Friends, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for having me here. I'm very, very honored and privileged to be speaking before this very distinguished audience. In its short story, the China General Chamber of Commerce has grown into an influential organization that represents Chinese enterprises in the United States. Today, through foreign direct investment, these enterprises have created over 200,000 jobs in the United States. But the Chamber's function goes well beyond representing Chinese business interests. It also plays an important role in building bridges of friendship between the two great nations. With a global economy full of uncertainties, the economic relationship between China and the United States, as the first and second largest economies in the world, will become increasingly important, not only for the United States and China, but for the world at large. Today, the United States and China are each other's largest trading partners, but there is the perception in America for years China has taken undue advantage of the United States under the WTO regime and the rising globalization. Indeed, an often cited academic work by Alter, Dawn, and Hansen claims that between 1999 and 2011, 2.4 million American jobs were lost because of imports from China. But upon further scrutiny, this claim is somewhat exaggerated. In fact, many well-known US scholars have debunked the underlying assumption of the argument. Furthermore, other scholars have pointed out that although it is undisputable that jobs were indeed lost, 80% of these manufacturing job losses resulted from automation, and only about 20% can be attributed to imports. Other studies point out that imports have an impact also on employment. In fact, import created a great many jobs in the United States in the service sector, in such areas as logistics and retail. In May 2013, a US Chamber of Commerce sponsored study estimated Chinese imports into the United States supported 2.7 million American jobs. Other than imports from China, let's take a look at US exports to China and how that has affected American jobs. China is now the third largest export destination for US goods behind Canada and Mexico. According to the US International Trade Administration, in 2015, US exports of goods and services to China amounted to $165 billion, which is 300% higher than the figure of 2005. This export activity supported 910,000 jobs in 2015. Today, 25% of what comes off Bowen assembly line, 50% of soya being grown in the United States, and 25% of cotton produced by the United States is destined for China. US export to China is growing and will continue to grow very rapidly. It is estimated in the near future, China will overtake Canada and Mexico as the largest export destination for American goods. Foreign direct investment from China to the United States is also a big area of growth. From 1990 to 2015, cumulative Chinese FDI into the United States was $64 billion, which is estimated to have created 100,000 American jobs. In 2016, Chinese FDI into US reached $45 billion, which is triple the amount that was recorded in 2015. It is expected such level of cross-border investment activities will continue to grow at a rapid pace. In partnership with the National Committee on U.S.-China Relations, the Rodim Group remarked that, quote, assuming a similar labor intensity of investment as in the recent years, Chinese investment of $200 billion would result to 200,000 to 400,000 U.S. jobs through 2020. The trend is very clear. The United States is China's preferred destination for overseas investment. These meaningful cross-border investment will play an increasingly significant role in enhancing U.S.-China economic relations and creating jobs in both countries at the same time. I would now like to highlight the increasing level of people-to-people exchange between the United States and China. According to U.S. Commerce Department, total arrivals of Chinese tourists and travelers numbered 2.6 million people in 2015, supporting 186,000 jobs in the United States. The Commerce Department also noted that China's share of tourism spending in the United States has grown almost fivefold in less than 10 years, increasing from 3% in 2005 to 13% in 2015. According to the White House, a competitive visa policy will translate to 7.3 million Chinese travelers to the U.S. by 2021, supporting up to 440,000 jobs. China remains as the leading country for students coming to the United States for the 7th year in a row in 2016, comprising 31.5% of all international students studying in the U.S. In 2015, there were more than 300,000 Chinese students studying in the United States, translating to 130,000 jobs, according to the Association of International Educators. But this is much more than just students and jobs. We have to also note that Chinese people feel a great deal of confidence in entrusting their future generations' education to American institutions. At the same time, their presence in the United States will enhance understanding and friendship among the younger generation. So all these things that is being done, that is happening, is at the end of the day, it's about U.S.-China relations. Unfortunately, it is true that in the United States, there are those who have not benefited from globalization. And indeed, we should all feel the pain inflicted on displaced workers. And in China too, because of reduction of production capacity in steel, cement, aluminum, and a number of other major industries, 7 million jobs may have to be lost over the next 5 years. Yes, 7 million jobs. The governments of our two countries, with the support of our people, must positively confront these challenges. My friends, the Sino-US economic relationship started with practically nothing in 1971 by our good friend sitting there, Henry Kissinger. Today, this relationship is one of the most relevant and important in the world. What will the future bring? In this respect, it is important to understand what is happening in China today, recognizing that rapid growth at close to 10% per annum since 1971 was unsustainable. China had been shifting its economy into a new normal. Since 2013, the Chinese economy has been transforming from one based on exports and investment to one that is based on science, innovation, and technology, on the service sector, and on domestic consumption. The economy has been growing at between 6.5% to 7%. Although this transformation is still full of challenges, there is reasons to be optimistic that China will succeed in this particular effort. At this rate of growth, China's middle class will continue to grow. China's new consumers will be interested in world-class consumer brands and products in such areas as cosmetics, apparels, appliances, and automobiles. You may be interested to know, of all the car makers in China, and there are many, many, General Motors has the distinction of having the largest market share in China. China's cinema box office receipts are second largest in the world behind the United States and is rising. China's consumers will also want to seek out modern healthcare services. With 20% of the world population and only 7% of world arable land, her consumers will increasingly rely on imports of farm products such as soybeans and corn, and livestock such as poultry, pork, and beef. And because of China's energy needs, she will continue to import large quantities of oil and gas. All of these areas present a unique business opportunity for American enterprises and the people they employ. China is a nation of savers. Chinese will increasingly seek better investment opportunities at home and abroad. The United States could be one of the favorite destinations. For example, China will look forward to the opportunity afforded by the heightened infrastructure development that the United States may soon embark on. Ladies and gentlemen, the United States is a great nation. Her economy is free, advanced, and versatile. She holds unassailable positions in science, technology, and innovation, with some of the best universities in the world. The country is blessed with natural resources that others can only envy. I'm not entirely current on what is happening in the United States today, but I believe that proposed tax cuts, deregulation, massive infrastructure projects, and the policy of America First can all boost U.S. economic activities in the coming years. Currently, the U.S.-China economic relationship is already broad and thriving, but given trends that are occurring in both countries, you can see that the future of our relationship can be bigger, better, and much more consequential. Over the past few years or so, I've heard Americans complaining about trade with China and saying how unfair it is. And at the same time, I've heard complaints from my Chinese friends about how unfair the relationship is. The fact is that in any big relationship like ours, there are bound to be disagreement and disputes. But the important thing is that we talk these things through, taking the opportunity of Mr. Donald Trump's assumption to the White House. It is very important that for our two countries' economic and trade officials to sit down and walk through and talk through not only the difficulties and disputes, which they must, but also, more importantly, how we can exploit a great future together. I expect that the best is still to come. How can we exploit this great future together? It is important that we begin this journey with a right start. Thank you. As Americans, you have a dream. It is an American dream, the dream for life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American tradition. That dream has given rise to this great nation. The people in China today also have a dream. It is a dream for all of her citizens to rise above poverty, to live in dignity, to live in a society which is just and democratic, and to share in the growing economic prosperity. It is a dream of all its citizens to live in a country we can proudly call home, and a country that will be a force for peace and harmony for the it is a dream that was once beyond anyone's imagination until only recently, and now a dream within reach of all her people. Your dream, the American dream, my dream, a Chinese dream, it is fundamentally one dream, the dream for a better life in a peaceful and prosperous world for this generation and for generations to come. Let's go for it. Thank you very much.